What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Sunday League Streamers podcast. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, along with my two co-hosts, Vito Inazelli and Michael Nowen. We have another great show for you today, but before that, please take a moment, hit the bell, subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you find your podcast. Also, give us a follow over on Twitter at the SLScreamers_pod. We'll kick the show off right away with some news and notes from around the world. Obviously, we got the biggest talking point that happened just today. The UCL round of 16 had to be redrawn due to some technical issues, so to speak. What's your guys' take on that? Because the first round matchups looked pretty damn good the first time around.
Yeah.
What exactly happened? Just to fill me in, please.
Basically, Manchester United got excluded from one of the pots after there was a mistake putting them in one of the pots to begin with. So you obviously can't play a team from your own group, but they were included in that bucket originally. So they pulled them out of the bucket, but they didn't replace them back into a different bucket to get pulled again. So it was just like it was a cluster. It was a cluster.
Not that it truly affected anything, but it potentially could have.
Was it?
Well, no, it did affect.
Or was it like a UEFA? Like, hey.
Yeah, it was their mistake. Yeah. Well, I think originally United got paired up with PSG, which we were denied a Messi Ronaldo reunion, I guess. But at least we get Sergio Ramos and Messi against Real Madrid.
Wow, the script writers.
Yeah.
You mean Mbappe versus Real Madrid?
Yeah,
that's the real lineup right there.
They're gonna announce them on the second leg when they're home.
Love it.
Yeah.
Big names that did miss out on it. Barcelona, obviously the top dog right there. I think it snapped to 17 straight Champions League knockout stages. Milan, Porto missed out. Dortmund came in third, and Atalanta as well. Mike's favorite team and how to pronounce. The draws are looking like Salzburg versus Bayern, Sporting versus Man City, Benfica versus Ajax. I like that one a lot, actually. Chelsea versus Lille, Atletico Madrid versus Man U, Villarreal versus Juve, Inter versus Liverpool, and PSG versus Real Madrid. Just kind of go through. We'll cover the all the Premier League teams real quick. So the first one up, we got Sporting versus Man City. Sporting came in second in the group behind Ajax, ahead Dortmund, sitting second in the league, tied with points with Porto, just behind on goal differential. Do you guys think it's possibly not a walk in the park as much as the match it looks like on paper?
Honestly, I think City City should come out of this tie as winners, but I am watching Sporting in this Champions League so far this year, especially the last game they played. They looked unbelievable, especially Pedro Goncalves, the one specific winger they have. The dude's unbelievable. He's probably going to get pulled to some top 5 team or top 10 team, whatever, in the next year. At least as a player to watch if anyone is watching that game. But it's not going to be a walk in the park by any means. Like, that team Sporting is very, very talented, to say the least. So,
no, it's a walk in the park. I think it's an absolute walk in the park. Not to take anything away from Sporting. I know they're a good team. They wouldn't be in the Champions League and have progressed through group stages if they weren't. But I mean, there's a reason Manchester City's the favorite to win this tournament based on the new odds that got released today. Even more so than Bayern, who, in my opinion, I think are the strongest in the tournament. But Pep doesn't lose until the quarterfinals with this team typically. So I think they have to get past this round and then they'll face Bayern next round. And then, you'll have your classic. But I think for this tournament right now, Manchester City it did look too good. They just look way too good. Even
without a real striker.
Yeah,
I mean, that comes back to bite them later on. In this tournament
in the later rounds
when they have to get to Bayern in the next round, because I think Bayern's going to progress. I think that's, to Mike's point, is when you're missing a Lewandowski up top is going to start to hit them, because Bayern is an entirely different animal than honestly just about any team in the world at this point in time.
You think Salzburg have a chance? Our boy Aronson lead the charge?
Unless they re-sign Haaland in January, I don't think so.
Or Salzburg.
Yeah. Hey, good run though. Good run.
Yeah.
Fun while it lasted. Then we had Chelsea versus Lille. I'm not gonna say Lille is the best draw out of all of them because they were champions of France last year, but they did top Group G. But they are having a very tough domestic league this year. They're sitting in 11th right now after 18 matches. So if I had to pair up any of the four, I feel like Chelsea did probably get the easiest of the draws, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Chelsea are obviously struggling at the moment. It's kind of reverted back to last year's lack of goals up top, no attacking identity. That was covered up for the most part of this season by their wing backs, but with Chilwell out injured and Reece James needing a break here and there, it's been a little slow going for them. I still think that they come out on top of this match. I think just too much, way too much depth in that team, way too much star quality. But
Defense has been sus lately.
Yeah, Chelsea have always had, not always, but for the last couple of years, have had a tendency to play to other teams' levels, especially when it came to playing quote unquote lesser teams. And we just saw what happened with Dynamo Zagreb, not Dynamo Zenit. Sorry, Zenit St. Petersburg. It's not going to be an easy match for them, but I think they squeak it out over two legs.
Yeah, I could see. Chelsea, I think, will come through. To your point, Vito, they have the talent. I think the area where they'll probably struggle is going up against a Jonathan David, going against Weah, hopefully if he's playing and starting for that Lille team. I mean, those two in particular, they're a great tandem to watch, and they're really fun to just see go after it. And I think in League, Jonathan David and Tim Weah are more or less like the bright spots for that team in general. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. Moving on, we have the next two are definitely a lot tougher draws for the Premier League teams. You got Atletico versus Manu. Atletico came in second in Group B behind Liverpool. Wasn't the most convincing performance from the Spanish champions, but obviously you got Diego Simeone, the home field advantage that they have. Never an easy out in the knockout rounds.
Yeah, but they have the one guy playing who owns Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Cristiano Ronaldo. So, I mean, if it was the Man U team, honestly, without Cristiano, I would say Atletico. But the sole fact that he has that much experience playing against Atletico in such high pressure games and consistently putting the dagger into that team, I don't see it any other way where it doesn't happen. And Ragnick's got them playing pretty decently right now. So
yeah, he's their favorite victim. That's the team he scored the most against in the Champions League, and I mean, he scored against them pretty much all the time in La Liga also. I think Atletico pull it off though. I think they do. I think they have enough going on. I think Suarez and Griezmann are going to absolutely terrorize that back line of United, which is obviously their Achilles heel. And when you have arguably two of the best strikers in the world, I mean, over the past 5 years, it's kind of hard to write them off. Simeone will get his defense in check. I know Real just beat them 2-0, but that was with a great Benzema volley also. It's going to be tough. To Mike's point, kind of up in the air, but I like Atletico Madrid for that tie.
I don't know.
Yeah, Varane's still out, right? And then Lindelof, I don't know exactly what happened with him over the weekend. I know he came off with some, I think, chest pains and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't see the medical report afterwards, but I'd imagine he's out for a little while as well.
Harry Maguire.
Do not trust Harry Maguire. Maybe go on the record saying that. But in the Champions League so far this year, Atletico Madrid just haven't
shown up really.
They haven't shown up. They haven't looked convincing. And if we're going just on that merit, I don't know if they're going to beat a team like, obviously Man U is no Liverpool. However, the new head coach of Man U invented what Liverpool does, that press. And if they keep pressing that Atletico back line, I think there's every possibility they could break them down.
It does come at a decent time schedule too, because I mean the first round isn't until middle of February, and then the second leg isn't until the beginning of March. So Ragnick definitely has time to start implementing his ideas and testing them out in the Premier League and in cup competitions. I think they got knocked out of one though. So he does have time to turn around. He can change his team in 2 months' time. I mean, there's enough talent on that field that they can pick up new tactics pretty quickly. It's whether or not Fred's going to be able to execute.
He did score a banger of a goal.
He did. He's looked good since Ragnick's come in.
I don't know.
Then the last matchup that we have, probably my favorite, at least for the Premier League squads to watch. You got Inter versus Liverpool. Inter is first place over in Italy right now, looking excellent over there. And then obviously Liverpool has been pretty much on fire. They ran through the Champions League group and then they're sitting second, right? They're right behind Man City by a point, I think.
Yeah, by 1 point.
So, I mean, you can't get any better than that right now.
Yeah, that's definitely the toughest tie, wouldn't you say so? For all four teams?
Oh, out of all four, out of the four teams we're covering. Yeah. It's probably the toughest tie. I would say it's the toughest tie out of like the knockout stages.
I was gonna ask you if that's what you thought, because that's exactly what I think. I mean, to your point, Steve, Inter's top of the league, and they are just rolling, just absolutely rolling. Like maybe they'll have a little blip here and there with a draw, but for the most part, they've bounced back every single time. Like it's unbelievable. But Liverpool are one of the favorites for this tournament. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry that it's going to be a great game. I'm like, choose his fucking face off over there. But I think Liverpool pull it off. Who are you taking for that?
I think Poole goes through. I feel like it's a late goal in the second leg. I think they're giving them everything they possibly can handle. Yeah. If not, to go to extra time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be coming down to the wire too. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I think Inter pull it off. I think Inter will just have to be a little bit better rested after the holiday and congestion. And not to say Liverpool don't show up in the Champions League, but I don't know. That Inter team is like, they're playing out of their minds right now, in all honesty.
So if there was one team out of the Premier League clubs in the Champions League right now that you think wouldn't progress past this round, it would be them, Liverpool, instead of Man United?
I think both. I think both are equally. I'd say Man U more than Liverpool, but.
And not due to themselves either. It's completely based off the opponent that they're playing, right? I mean, I'm going to take Chelsea over Lille, and then Man City over Sporting any day of the week right now. It's just, you're coming up against a tall task. And not saying they're not capable of. They're clearly capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Just, anything could happen into like match like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on to our Stars and Stripes section, we cover the United States men's national team players all across the globe, standout performances, some crap performances, and anything else in between. We have first up, Christian Pulisic got a 90-minute run-in over the Champions League this past week in a 3-3 draw against Zenit, assisted the third goal of the match for Timo Werner, his second of the game as well. Good to see him just get 90 minutes again. He didn't play in the weekend stuff, but we'll work up to that kind of fitness level for him just yet.
Yeah, speaking of Pulisic too, rumors floating, Barcelona interested. Do you guys think it's better for his development to leave, or do you think it's better to stay at Chelsea and fight for the spot?
I think in Pulisic's case, I would typically say you'd want to stay in the Premier League in a more difficult division when you're at that age, because the experience you're getting in game is more exponential than in Barcelona, where he might not get as many minutes. But due to his injury concerns, I think going to a league where you're not kicked around as much would probably be better for his long-term career, if that makes sense. Yeah. But do I want to see him leave the Premier League? No, I love watching him face tougher competition than what you were seeing in La Liga. So you see more dazzling displays, but I don't think it's a bad move for him, even given the state of Barca at the moment.
Really? That was my whole thing about it. I think he's better off fighting for a spot with Tuchel right now, a guy who's also given him a chance in the past when he was a lot younger. And then just the turmoil at Barcelona, I feel like is the main reason why I probably wouldn't want to go there right now. Not saying he can't be helpful to turn around the club. Yeah. But
no, I don't mean in the sense like I think he should stay and fight for his spot. But if you're looking at it purely from a career standpoint, if he stays in the Premier League for a couple more seasons, you're probably going to see 2 or 3 less years of Pulisic at a high level. I mean, the guy can't stay healthy for half a season as it is at this point. Remember how often Hazard was getting kicked? It kind of feels like that watching him on the field in the Premier League. They know how to take him down because of his size. And I think you just get a lot less of that at Barca. So if he wants more minutes, I think he needs to be at Barca. But I do agree. If he wants to win, he needs to stay and fight for his spot at Chelsea. That's the only reason I think it's even up in the air for him to make that decision.
Gotcha.
The next up, we had a guy competing at right back right now for that number 1 spot, Deandre Yedlin.
Yeah, Yedlin's looked really good. 2 90-minute performances. He was in the Europa League midweek with a clean sheet against Lazio. And then the Turkish side lost most tackles in both the matches, and he's more informed than Dest right now. But I mean, that's kind of a tough comparison when Barcelona again is at where they're at. But it's nice to see him playing to that level, because we thought that's the level he was going to be at for a long time when he was in the Premier League and whatnot. So I hope he can bring that across to the national team with the next round of upcoming international fixtures.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Then we have Chris Richards.
Yeah. Big 90 minutes for him. Big win where he scored the match winner in the 4th minute of stoppage time off a corner kick. I believe was it a header off the
Yeah, it was
corner?
a bullet
Yeah.
header, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. It's awesome to see him get the first. I think that was the first goal of his Bundesliga career too. So it's awesome to see. Hopefully, he can continue that momentum for the United States team down the line. So.
Okay. Another guy we have kind of been off the radar a little bit from the national team level because of his time over at Tottenham. He wasn't really getting much of it. Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't said his name too much over the last couple weeks or months, but he put in a really good performance recently. 13 duels won. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've heard that many in a single match. 7 clearances, 3 interceptions, 4 recoveries. So he was just kind of all over the place. A really, really strong defensive performance from him. That's great to see, knowing that we kind of have issues with, exactly where he's playing right now on the national team.
The last time I heard 13 duels won was at medieval times, rooting for the Blue Knight.
The Blue Knight? Roots for the Blue Knight.
Well done, Noah. Well done.
Nice.
Then some honorable mentions from just around the world. We had Brendan Aronson with an assist. Tim Ream had 11 recoveries and a 1-1 draw against Luton Town. James Sands played 120 minutes in New York City FC's final against Portland, where they won on penalties. Buzio, 8 duels, 1 and 9 recoveries, and a 1-1 draw against Juve. And that pretty much kind of rounds off the top performances around the world right now. Gonna go over our weekly recaps though from the Premier League over the last 2 weeks. Just gonna kind of go through each team one by one here. First up was Arsenal. Up and down week for them. Lost 2-1 at the death to Everton, where Everton just exploded at the end with the Damara Gray banger to steal the victory there. But they came back around, revived themselves a little bit. Southampton 3-0 at the weekend. Looked really good in that performance.
Yeah, that loss was a massive kick in the dick against Everton. I mean, I don't not to
well said, Michael.
Not to rub it in, but I mean, because they definitely looked like they were controlling that game for large portions. Then Everton just came back out of nowhere. So it was good to see, at least for an Arsenal team, to follow it up with a win in general for Southampton. But
nice ending from a Tottenham fan right there. Next up, we had Aston Villa.
Yeah. So they got a nice win over Leicester City. Pretty much, I believe that was right after the City loss. They had that game, correct? If I'm not mistaken, for Villa. So it's a good bounce back win for them and good for Stevie G and the boys. And then afterwards, they returned back to Anfield and he had a hurtful 1-0 loss. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, a couple games again for Liverpool, for Aston Villa. Gerrard's got the team playing pretty well for in general. They're definitely making strides in the right directions from where they were earlier in the season. So it seems like the firing of, I believe, Dean Smith at that point was the right move. Hopefully they're able to continue ascending in the right direction with Gerrard. So
yeah, I think Gerrard, honestly, I still believe Aston Villa made all the right signings in the offseason, but I think Gerrard is the better manager for these players that they brought in. And it seems like a much more perfect fit now than what it did before. Then we had Brentford.
Yeah, Brentford had a pretty good weekend, actually. After a heartbreaking 2-2 draw. Oh, I guess the draw came first with, oh my God, who did they play? Leeds. Leeds scored a 95th minute winner, and that was tough for them. But I think Leeds did deserve that point. I don't think Brentford could be too upset with that, given that they were dominated for large portions of the game. But the happy moment over the two matches played over the last week was actually the win against Watford, which is a relegation contender at this point. So a mini slump for Brentford, but a big 4 to 6 points for them, and that they're trending back upwards again now.
Yeah, they're sitting in 10th place now again.
Yeah,
they're back up.
Yeah, they have 2 wins and a draw in their last 4 matches. So I mean, it's better than what it looked like, a month and a half ago for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna bounce around anywhere between like 9th and 14th the whole year. It's like somewhere right within that range, is constantly up and down, just based off form and what's going on and stuff.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Brighton. They had a 1-1 draw, very late on, with Neil Maupay scoring an 8th minute of stoppage time, if I remember correctly. Fair result on the day for that one. Then they had a canceled match against Tottenham. So due to Tottenham's COVID situation right now, we'll get to Man U's later on as well. Good for them. Nothing crazy right there. I think they're sitting around 10th or 9th right now. So obviously not as high as they were in the beginning to start the season, but good for them. Top half of the table right now. Just keep it going. Next up, we had Burnley.
Oh, yeah. So they had an up and down week. Lost 1-0 to Newcastle, which in all honesty was a really bad loss for them, especially given the relegation battle they're in, which I now believe after the 2 games they sit in, I think the 18th
They're in
spot.
18th now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now they're fully in that battle. Not to say they weren't before, but they also followed it up with a pretty sweet little 0-0 draw, a Sean Dyche special versus West Ham, getting the point that they need. And honestly, that's, the Sean Dyche way. That's the Burnley way. Get the draws, get the points where you can, get the odd winner where possible. The Newcastle loss definitely hurt them in particular, but it's not a position they're unfamiliar with. So I think I don't think there's red flags that need to be sounding for them just yet.
If there's one manager I want in a relegation battle, it's that man. So I'm not worried.
Speaking to your point, Mike, I mean, they're tied for the most draws in the league right now, and 4 of their last 5 results have been draws. Which is actually pretty incredible stat. That's consistency right there. Okay, that's
grind it out, baby, grind it out.
Yeah, but I mean, they're only 2 points out until they're out of that zone. So I mean, they're in a pretty good spot. I think. What do you think? So think they'll crawl out?
Yeah, they're gonna figure it out eventually. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't see them going from 18th to 10th. They're going to be 18th, 17th, 16th, maybe 15th highest, and they're just going to be in that range the entire season in dogfight.
Yeah.
Then we had Chelsea.
2 games last week, both against tough opponents, West Ham and Leeds. Both scorelines 3-2. Chelsea on the correct and wrong side of them. Losing against West Ham was definitely a blow, given West Ham's a pretty close contender to snapping up that 4th place and kind of snipping at Chelsea's heels. Especially with a late winner, but I think West Ham deserved that game. That was a freak goal too. Do you think he meant that?
No shot, dude.
No shot.
Not at all.
You 100% take credit for it, but you didn't mean it.
That was like Papa Cisse from that angle. You know what I mean? Just the other side of the net.
That's a throwback right there.
He did not mean to do that.
But Chelsea did come back against Leeds and have that. Eventually went on 2 PKs by none other than their best striker Antonio Rudiger. Who got fouled in the box twice, and Jorginho converted twice. So he bailed him out. I think if you're Chelsea right now, you're looking at that weekend going, okay, we'll take 3 points, there, but that could have easily have been 2 losses back to back for them. So I think they need to kind of regroup a little bit as a team, but overall, not the worst week for them.
Yeah, Leeds felt unfortunate not to get anything from that game, in my opinion. And I thought the second penalty, although
I thought it was soft,
deserved because of the contact, was 100. Like, that's not enough to knock over Antonio Rudiger.
It's a penalty by the letter of the law, but like, if I'm a referee, I'm not calling. If I see that on replay, I'm like, get out of here. No way.
It was an obvious error though, so you definitely can't overturn it. But yeah, like, yes, you need some force to knock over Rudiger, not like a little tap on the ankle. That's all. So, but hey, props to him. Sold it, got it. That's all that matters. Then we had Crystal Palace. They had a 1-0 loss, courtesy of a Fred goal. It was a beauty. Didn't play bad in that game. Were they outmatched? Yes. I thought Manu's pressing was absolutely incredible on them, and they just really couldn't break it too much. But turned around the weekend, 3-1 win over Everton. Conor Gallagher with the brace looked excellent, dominated up and down the field right there. He's, in my opinion, got to be by far their best signing, and he's on loan. They should do whatever it takes to wrap him up permanently next year.
They're not going to be allowed to. Chelsea are going to take him back.
Yeah, no way.
Oh, absolutely. But
there's no way.
Send the kitchen house at him.
Gallagher's a revelation for that team.
If they handed out Lone Player of the Year at the Premier League Awards, he'd win that at the moment. But I think it wouldn't even be close.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think it's 3 goals and 6 assists so far.
I don't know why they don't do that. That'd be a great award for them to like, actually give out as a way to actually incentivize teams to loan and play.
Win an award.
Yeah, but I mean, Palace in general, man. To Steve's point, the Man U game they definitely got outplayed in that sense, and the Everton game, I mean, they just looked like a team on a mission that entire game. Like, they were just totally hounding them. Gallagher in particular, he's a hell of a player. So,
yeah.
Okay. Then we had Everton.
Yeah, the team that Crystal Palace beat. So we kind of know that scoreline already. But, and also the Arsenal game too, more or less, the 2-1 win against Arsenal, the comeback, which we talked about, the thriller. Haven't heard Martin Tyler have an orgasm like that since the old Aguero. It was pretty epic. I'm not going to lie. And then obviously they took a big old L afterwards.
Did you think that win? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that win against Arsenal, did you think that was going to spur them on? Were you surprised at the secondary event?
I mean, I would assume like you have an emotional win like that where Goodison Park is like rocking,
literally shaking.
They're hugging the fans. I thought someone was going to get punched. Richarlison had like 3 goals called off or 2 goals.
Yeah, three.
I think it was 2, and then he scored the 3rd.
Well, okay.
So he had a hat trick, but just an unconventional hat trick. Yeah, I mean, I really would have thought that was the turning point for them, and like maybe something could spark for them. But I mean, to follow it up with the performance against Palace, something kind of feels wrong with the team itself, or at least for Everton, in my opinion. I don't know if Benitez is the right guy, but they got to do something. So.
Yeah. For a while, I thought it might have been injuries or maybe losing Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But before that win against Arsenal, they went, I think it was, what did we tweet? It was 7 games without a win in the league. And that's the longest they've had a run since like that, since like 94 or something along those lines. So at a certain point, you got to look away from the injuries.
Yeah.
I feel like so often though, like also after a big win at a very high emotional level, there is a sort of a letdown on the previous game, especially for like the first half hour. So just kind of get like re-energized and stuff like that.
Yeah. Maybe it's in the back of their mind, like that was a lucky one. If we're still in bad form or.
Yeah, it's tough to call, but that's on the manager. I feel like you have to kind of manage those emotions and get your team ready for the next one.
I totally.
Then we had Leeds.
Leeds had, if that was a roller coaster game, Leeds had a roller coaster 2 games because score a 95th minute equalizer one day, and then like 4 days later go to Chelsea and lose on a 94th minute penalty
and get into a fight.
Yeah, and get into a fight.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Yeah. I mean that's just Jekyll and Hyde emotions right there. That's not great. I think they're going to be upset they didn't get a point up from that Chelsea game, obviously, especially considering they gave up 2 penalties. But given how Leeds have performed this season, and I think we've all in agreement, drastically underperformed given the quality in that squad.
Definitely.
I think this was still a positive for them. Not obviously not in terms of points because they got 1 from 6, but they put in much, much, much better performances, and that's back-to-back games they were able to do that. And I think they're unlucky not to get 2 draws out of that, which would have been good for them.
Very fair. No, I completely agree with you. That is telling of their team, though, because I feel like in almost every game they play is just a roller coaster of emotions. Mm-hmm. So just to have that constantly, it doesn't seem anything like out of sorts for them.
Yeah.
And moving on, we had Leicester at a big 4-0 win against Newcastle, but then a 2-1 loss against Villa. Again, story of the season, Jekyll and Hyde, they just constantly just up and down performances left and right. It feels like big win, big loss, big win, big loss. Eventually, maybe they might figure it out. I don't know. Maybe 2 big wins.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't really know what's up with Leicester. They're an enigma.
They're the definition of inconsistency. Although at the same time, if they're that inconsistent, I guess it's consistent.
Consistently inconsistent.
Yeah. So again, Jekyll and Hyde, I don't know what to do about this.
Well, I mean, they are sitting in 8th place right now too, 22 points. So it's not like they're too far off from potentially a European spot either. So
yeah, and a big game against Tottenham coming up, who's 3 points ahead of them. So if they pull off the win against them, granted, Tottenham does have a couple games in hand on them due to the COVID situation, but I mean, you never know what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have next up Liverpool.
Yeah, 2 1-0 wins, 1 versus Villa, 1 against. I'm just going to change the wording there. Wolves.
Today, Junior.
I know. I thought their wins were hard fought, but my vocabulary and ability to speak is even harder. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, more or less 2 wins against 2 tough opponents. It's the hallmark of a title team. Sitting in 2nd place now, 1 point behind City. They're playing very, very well. Good team football in general. There's not much to really say that's negative about Liverpool at this moment in time. So it's all positive in all honesty.
Just like them too against Aston Villa, or just like Chelsea had to another penalty helped save them, got them 3 points, and we're moving on to Man City next with Vito. But they had another very similar outcome as well.
Yeah, Man City. That I would like to see this stat, but it can't happen too often that in the same match week, all 3 leaders of the division needed penalties to win. They had a really nervy game against Wolves, and it took Raheem Sterling's penalty in the 66th minute or so to find the difference. But I mean, it was a difference. They held on for the clean sheet and the 1-0 win. So I mean,
do you think that was a pen?
I think I go back to the.
It was the deserved result though, so I'm not like upset about it.
Exactly.
If it was the other way around, where like they were getting manhandled by Wolves, and then that happened, that's a little different. I would feel a little bit, but
they had that red card too. Shit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Stoppage time of the wrong half to get that.
Deserved red card for Jimenez? I thought so.
Yeah.
Completely his fault, in my opinion.
And not to mention it wasn't a straight red. It was a second yellow. He was cautioned twice in one half. Look,
within 3 minutes, not even.
Within 3 minutes, but still. Not even. It was 1 minute, I think.
Yeah, I think it was 30 seconds, really.
Yeah, like if you get the card and you're not happy about it, I understand that. But why would you do that? You just lost the game for your team there. I'm sorry, but you did. Going down a man against Manchester City after a 0-0 halftime, you put him in a really precarious position. But we're talking about Man City and perfect 6 points from 6 points, maintaining the lead at the top, looking a little bit better than I thought they were going to look this season, actually, after the whole non-striker Harry Kane saga. Do you guys think they have what it takes to go all the way still? Because I think one of you said they were going to win the league early on.
Wasn't me. I was Chelsea.
They
do have enough, though.
Yeah. I still think they do. I think it's going to be a extraordinarily tight race. Like, we might be going back to I know we made the Aguero joke earlier about him winning, against Manchester United at the 95th minute of the death. But I think we might be nearing one of those types of title races where it's just very much last day or second to last game. Like, it comes down to that.
Yeah.
So I hope so, man. Those are the best years.
Yeah. What was it, 2 years ago when the exact same situation was happening with Liverpool and City? 1 point, Liverpool behind them, and they both won like 9 games in a row for City to steal the title.
Yeah.
Was that the Gerrard slip that year?
No.
The Gerrard slip was years ago. That
was when Suarez was still there.
Off.
Yeah, no,
this was a long time.
This was the year before
2 years ago.
Liverpool won the title.
Moving on, though, we have Man U. They seem to be back on track. 2-1-0 wins recently. One over Palace, one over Norwich. Although I thought both teams played, or I thought they were definitely better than Crystal Palace, but Norwich actually surprised me a little bit in that game. I thought they played relatively pretty well. Deserved to get anything? Maybe not, but put up a much better fight than I honestly really expected out of them. But props to Man U. They seem to be back on track after the manager switch and Ole out. So we'll see where it takes them.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a big week for Newcastle.
Yep. A good old win against Burnley, like we talked about in the relegation battle, and then a very humbling 4-0 defeat to Leicester. Newcastle still sit in the bottom of the table at 19th out of 20, 10 points. Kind of not too, honestly, far out of the relegation zone itself. Watford's at 13 right now. Every possibility they could. I still don't think they will, just given the team and the quality. But that win against Burnley, though, in particular, was massive, absolutely massive for them. So,
yeah, dug themselves out of 20th and puts themselves in, one game out of switching up the table a little bit.
Yeah,
the relegation battle's tighter than the title race.
Definitely, potentially. Moving on, then also relegation candidates down there with them, Norwich City.
Yeah, Norwich mixed weekend. They got spanked by a Tottenham team that was probably one of their better games of the season. I mean, Heung-min Son put in a brilliant performance there, but what was really disappointing was that end result against Manchester United. Watching that game, I don't know about you guys. I thought they were going to be able to get the point off of that game.
I did. They were playing well. Like they were.
Yeah.
Playing well.
It really took a wonder strike from Fred to take that match from them. And I mean, it's not good. I mean, 6 points potentially, and then they get 0. I mean, was it expected coming up against a Spurs and Manchester United team? Yeah, probably. But being bottom of the table and tied with Newcastle with 10 points, I mean, 1 means the world at this stage in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all count the same for them right now. Then we had Southampton. They were on the opposite side of that Neil Maupay late strike. They were there the 1-1 draw against Brighton, and then they had a 3-0 thrashing to Arsenal. Not the best week for Southampton by any means. Still sitting above the relegation zone, although not by much. Seems like they might be headed. I'm not gonna say headed down, but they're definitely going to be within that race for the majority of the season, in my opinion, at least. 16 points right now. 5 clear of the bottom, but it could easily swing very quickly.
You think Ralph keeps his job by the end of this year for Southampton?
No. Because
Well,
I think they might go down. I think there's a really good chance they're going to go down.
If they stay up, though. Yes.
Know, dude. You mean if they survive this season, is he going to be in charge next year?
That's what staying up means, yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about this season. No, I think you have to get rid of him regardless. I mean, yeah, it's on the hierarchy to a certain point because, I mean, Southampton's a perennial seller. Look, I mean, they had Mane and Van Dijk, you know what I mean, at one point in time. Granted, you're going to lose players of that caliber, but you can only blame the manager so much. But when you lose as frequently as they're losing and as poorly as they're losing, you got to look at the manager.
Okay, interesting. Moving on, we have Mike's favorite team, Tottenham Hotspurs.
Yeah, 3-0 win against Norwich. In all honesty, it felt a lot closer than 3-0, and the scoreline I felt was a little bit flattering, but Spurs did play well in the second half in particular and eventually pulled away. And then afterwards, just as things were starting to go up and to the right, this is why we can't have nice things at Spurs. COVID strikes. And they're going to be out of commission for probably they have been out of commission the last couple games, including their Conference League. There's every possibility too. The Leicester game might even be called off. So we'll see what happens.
Vito's over there just giggling in your face. It's great.
I was like, he said up and to the right. I'm more of a down to the left type of guy.
All right. That's the kind of show we're having here. Got it. Over to you, Vito, at Watford.
Yeah, Watford, not a good week. Losing to Man City 3-1. I mean, anyone that comes up against City can, for the most part, expect to lose. So you can't take that with a grain of salt. What really was disappointing was that match against Brentford. If it wasn't bad enough for Leeds to lose in the 95th minute or 4th minute with a PK, how about Watford losing in the 96th minute from Brentford PK? They didn't play a bad game, honestly. Overall, they were winning 70 minutes of that game. Brentford didn't get on the board till the 84th minute and then finish it in the 96th. I think you have to be extremely upset if you're Watford, especially looking at that and going 3 out of 6 points is a good week for them. That's a good week, especially when City was one of those opponents. Do you guys, are you a little bit getting worried about Watford? Because I know we were singing their praises. We weren't really sure if they were overperforming or underperforming. You think they're getting back to where they should be, or is it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I still think they get relegated by the end of the season.
Yeah,
when it's all said and done, I don't think they have the quality. I think they have some experienced players in the team, but they have an experienced coach. I'm just not who is a specialist in the relegation race, right? By all means, but I'm just not sure they have the consistency to make it. And I think they're going to hit some type of slide probably pretty soon if it isn't happening right now.
Well, it is. That's 4 in a row.
You're going to see that Burnley team overtake them pretty soon, if I had to take a guess.
They remind me a lot of a poor man's Leicester right now. Not saying it's constantly up and down with results. It's not like one big win, one big loss. It seems like, but they turn these random performances where you're like, holy shit, they're actually not a bad team. Like what's going, like they can score 2 or 3 goals in a match. Mm-hmm. And then they go on like a slide like this, where it's just like, oh, okay, well, back to normal.
Yeah. It's
so it's tough. Like they're definitely gonna be in the relegation battle, but I'm kind of with Mike. I think they do go. I think they go down.
I think so too. I think all 3 of us picked them. It might have been one of the only teams we've picked. We all collectively
agreed on at the beginning of the season. Yeah, I think I had them in last, honestly.
I mean, looking at the table too, the 3 teams that are below them, the Burnley, the Newcastle, and the Norwich, none of those 3 teams have lost more than 2 games in the last 5, and Watford have lost 4 of their last 5. So, I mean, you can see that the teams that are a little bit out of the relegation zone at the moment are starting to slide a little bit more than the guys that are down there.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think Leeds eventually pull themselves out, but it's questionable at this point. I would say it's a very legitimate 5-team race to avoid relegation right now between Southampton, Watford, Burnley, Newcastle, and Norwich. Mm-hmm. Leeds, if they don't start picking it up, possibly throw them in there as well. But I do think them and they should have enough talent to not worry about that. But who knows?
So, who do you think at this moment in time is going to be the 3 going down? Just curious, just quickly.
Norwich, Watford, and Newcastle.
Okay. I think Newcastle's going to get out, but yes, I think Burnley goes down this year.
Nope.
That's another
Don't
day.
speak. Don't talk about it.
I think I'm with Mike there.
Yeah.
Newcastle, I'm pretty confident in. If any of them, I think, make a late push, I feel like Norwich does have the best chance of doing so. Something about their team, I think they're actually relatively pretty good going forward. They just need to string something together. Watford, I see going down. Southampton's a damn sure close one. I think Burnley is probably the highest out of the 5, in my opinion.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Just like strictly based off defense. Like they can pull a 0-0 draw out of their ass any day of the week.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I picked Newcastle a while ago to get out of there, and I'm sticking with it.
Man, it's word. I like it.
Yeah.
Then we had West Ham with a massive victory over Chelsea, as we mentioned before, 3-2. Really helping their top 4 chances out right now. But they also followed up with a classic 0-0 draw to Burnley, like we just mentioned. Can't speak like Michael apparently over there.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of do the same thing sometimes where they have these massive games and then a letdown. The way do you think Man U and them are gonna end up flipping now? Because I'm feeling more confident in United over the last couple of games than I am West Ham.
Yeah, I think they're closing the gap pretty quickly. They're 1 point behind them now. United in particular on a 3-game win streak. West Ham draw, win, draw. In terms of form, Man U's kind of seems like they're hunting. So I think they probably overtake him for that 4th spot.
Long way to go.
Yeah.
Then last but not least, we got Wolves.
We do.
Yeah.
Lost 1-0 to Liverpool, and then a 1-0 loss to the City, which we talked about with the questionable handball. I felt like Wolves in both games, it's not like they got totally outplayed. It was more just unlucky, I feel like. I still think they're a good team. I still think they have a strong side to be a mid-table team. Not the results they're probably looking for, but they definitely had 2 of the tougher games, obviously, that any team could have in the beginning of this like congested fixture list.
Yeah, they have so many 1-0 losses. It's kind of heartbreaking.
It's at least there's 5 that I'm actually aware of off the top of my head out of the 7. I don't know what the other 2 are, but definitely 5.
I think it's 7, but they've also they lost. Yeah, no,
they've lost 7. What I'm saying is I know for 100% fact in my head they have 5 1-0 losses at least.
Yeah, and they also have a couple 1-0 wins on top of it. Like 1-0 is their score line. I might just start playing that consistently. I might just gamble that nonstop.
Yeah, they only have 12 goals for and 14
just do the under and all of their games.
Yeah, exactly. My luck would be like a 42-14 game at that point.
I'm gonna just start blind betting that every single week and just see how the results come out. It's not a bad idea.
Meeny, miny, yeah.
But they're gonna push for Europe. I think they have more than capabilities enough, the right manager in place, they're good enough players. Just no more red cards from Jimenez up front.
Yeah.
Then we're over to the bowl prediction section. We're going to cover the next 2 match weeks. We got some midweek games. The Brentford Man U postponed due to a COVID outbreak. But then we got Norwich and Villa.
Got to take Stevie G. They put in such good performances since he's taken over. After the run of form they were on, how they look now, hard to pick anyone against them, especially not hard to pick anyone against them, but definitely not the people in last place.
Yeah, I would say Villa.
Villa as well.
Yeah.
Man City Leeds. Man City.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Gonna be a hell of an open game. Take the over in that one, people.
Yeah.
Then we go to Wednesday, Brighton versus Wolves. Brighton at home.
Wolves bounce back from those 2 1-0s.
Brighton 4 draws out of 5 in their last 5 and 1 loss.
Really?
Yes.
I'm gonna say draw. I would say draw in this game.
Kind of feeling the same thing.
Feeling the same thing?
Yeah, Burnley hosting Watford. Neither team in good form. Burnley also drawing 4 of their last 5. And then Watford, as we mentioned, losing 4 of their last 5.
West Ham.
Ham.
That's not an option.
Oh, no, sorry.
Glad you were listening.
I was looking at something West Ham related.
Go home, Vito. You're drunk.
I wish.
I would say another draw is on the books here.
Yeah.
I'm taking Burnley 1-0.
Burnley
Take the under. Crystal Palace hosting Southampton after a pretty big win. I'm gonna take Palace.
I'll take Palace as well.
Another draw.
Back to back.
Load him up for Michael.
Load him up.
Last
Another
game on
draw.
Wednesday, we have Arsenal hosting West Ham.
God, this is like my
That's a tough
worst
one.
nightmare. I hate West Ham and I hate Arsenal even more. The way West Ham season's been going, the way Arsenal season's been going, I see this being a West Ham win, like a 2-1 win. So
I'll take a draw here.
I'm gonna go West Ham win as well. Moving on to Thursday, we got 3 matches. Leicester hosting Tottenham if it is played.
Spurs, baby, they got the rest. They got Conte making them run, maybe virtually on Zoom. Got to take Spurs.
Leicester are coming off a win, so that is a valid answer right there.
That's the only
Yeah.
reason I'm going for Tottenham.
I'm gonna take the draw because I just can't give them the win. Then we got Chelsea hosting Everton. I'm gonna go Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yep.
And then the last midweek game, poor Newcastle after their first win. Liverpool hosting Newcastle. Tough one, but
David versus Goliath.
give me the Reds.
Yeah. You can put Jurgen Klopp out as the only outfield player, and they might win at this point.
That's a little
Solid midfield option, probably.
Solid midfield option.
Then we head over to the weekend games. Starting off on Saturday, Manu hosting Brighton for the 7:30 morning.
I kind of think that this is a game that Brighton is able to break down a Man U defense. And I'm going to say a 1-0 Brighton win in this game.
Wow. Okay. At Old Trafford too. I like it.
This is why Mike's in last place.
Hey, man, bold.
He is bold. Don't take this as any betting advice for people out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Man U. I like the way they're playing recently with their manager change, the high press that they got going on. They're finding goals from places they probably shouldn't find goals from, aka Fred. And Ronaldo brace right here.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve.
Moving on, Aston Villa hosting Burnley.
Draw.
I'm going to say a Burnley win.
You love last place, don't you? Aston Villa.
I think you just love Sean Dyche.
Also true. Then we got Southampton hosting Brentford.
I'm going to say a Brentford win here.
I'm going back to a draw again for this.
Brentford win. Watford hosting Crystal Palace. Taking Palace.
Yeah.
Palace.
West Ham hosting Norwich.
Oh, this is a tough one. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't lie to yourself.
It's going to be West Ham. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
West Ham as well. And then the last game, the primetime one, 12:30. We got Leeds hosting Arsenal. I actually kind of like that one a lot.
Leeds hosting Arsenal.
I'm gonna take draw.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a Leeds win here. I want me some Leeds here.
I was very close to doing that as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the draw on this one. I think it's a really good matchup.
Feels like a complete trap game for Arsenal for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my thinking as well.
And moving on to the last day of games, we have Everton hosting Leicester. Oof, that is just tough.
Well, if Tottenham happen to play them and they happen to beat or lose to Tottenham, then logic would state
They should win.
Leicester.
Okay,
Yes.
I like it. Okay, I'll take a Leicester win as well.
I'm just gonna fill out our tracker for like the next whole season. Just gonna go opposite with them every single week. Just knock their games out.
No draws, just straight win or loss. every single
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Then we got Wolves hosting Chelsea. Probably gonna be a very good game. Chelsea been lacking defensively lately, and Wolves love getting forward.
I think it's gonna be a draw. I don't think Chelsea are gonna figure out their attacking options in time.
2-1 Chelsea win.
I'm gonna go Chelsea as well, but very, very close. I really feel it's gonna be a late goal if anything.
Yeah.
Newcastle hosting Man City. They have a tough week coming up.
Really tough week. Yeah, City.
Yeah, it's going to be Manchester City.
Over under 4 goals for City.
Under, but I think they hit 3.
I think it's going to be exactly 4.
I'm feeling at least 4 as well. And then probably the game of this match week, we got Tottenham hosting Liverpool.
Oh boy, what
Well,
a
Steve,
game!
you don't have to give them any points this week. You don't have to pick them.
I think I gave them the draw last time.
I know you don't even have to do that now.
Good point. Liverpool win.
I think it's a draw right here. I think it's a draw. This is a big test game for Conte in general. So
Yeah,
I agreed. Yes,
big opponent they're playing. So they're going to come out swinging, I feel like. So we'll see what type of mentality he's been able to instill on that team.
Very true. Very true. Any other final thoughts for the week, boys?
I was very upset that Tom Holland asked Mbappe at the awards if he wanted to join Spurs, and he said it was impossible. So very, very upsetting. But a funny video.
At least you have Spider-Man as a Spurs fan.
I know. That's pretty chill.
Yeah.
Tom Holland's pretty good.
Anything else, fellas?
I'm hoping to get Thanos stabbed again now. No, I was at a wedding this weekend and I spent a good 30, 45 minutes when I should have been mingling, watching the MLS Cup Finals. And congratulations to New York City for their first ever MLS Cup trophy. I didn't realize the the oil money made it all the way across the Atlantic, but it looks like it has finally.
They got how many teams do they technically own? I forget. 5, 6.
One I know for a fact. One in Australia,
one in Australia, England, one in Asia,
and one in
Wow.
At least 4. But same thing with Red Bulls. Red Bulls own like 7 teams.
Very fair. Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
That'll do it for this episode of the Sunny League Screamers podcast. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, along with Vito Anazelli and Michael Nolan, signing off.